Hey, Daily Doses. This is Pastor Larry here, and we've been taking a look at some of the things from what does it mean to walk in the Spirit. And today I want to take a look at an area I didn't have time to dig into. I talked about walking in the Spirit simply being trusting God enough to do what He says, and which is, by the way, what faith is. Walking in the Spirit, walking by faith, same thing. They're synonymous. And we talked about a couple of the areas where it's really hard. One, returning good for evil in every case to anyone and everyone. And I also talked about waiting for God's perfect timing. But I want to flesh the second one out just a little bit. Because I think for lots of us, at least I know for me and my friends, it's okay to do it God's way and not have it work out for a while. But the problem comes when we all have different definitions of when long enough is. And whenever we hit the long enough point, that's the point at which we say, whether we say it out loud or not, we say it with our actions, God, I tried it your way. That didn't work. I have to take things into my own hands now. And frankly, very few of us are living a life of rebellion where we say, well, God, I'm just going to do what I want. Even when we have Him as a cosmic consultant, we listen to Him until it's really hard or really makes no sense or nothing has happened. But God's timing, the hard part about it for us to grasp, is it's so different than ours because He's got an eternal perspective. And as we grow in the Lord, one of the things that has to grow in us is no longer having a childlike perspective that thinks Christmas Eve is the longest night of the year, but that perspective that can see the whole big picture, and one that includes eternity. I love Hebrews chapter 11, which is God's hall of fame of great people in faith. And the whole beginning of it has victory after victory after victory. And then at the very end are a whole bunch of people who catch this, walked in faith, but never, this is what it says, never received what was promised in this lifetime. Think about that. In their whole lifetime, they never got what they were waiting for. And as they walked in obedience, he said some of them were killed as martyrs and some of them had to live as fugitives. And he talks about all the hard things. And he says, not only did they not receive what was promised in this lifetime, but they were commended for their faith. I don't know where your I've waited long enough line is, but here's what I want to challenge you with. I've waited long enough line should never, ever exist. And that's a point that real faith comes in. And I know some of you are living there right now. Well, is this going to be my whole life? Maybe. Is this going to be the next decade? Maybe. But I promise you, 1,000 years from now, you'll be looking back and saying, boy, did I make the right decision. There is no waited long enough line when it comes to, Lord, I tried it your way, but now we're doing it mine. Every yes of God is yes. Every promise of His will be fulfilled. And faith is what sees that reality and therefore lives in that reality. Waiting for God's perfect timing. That's hard. But it's always a thing we'll be glad we did.